Greetings, mortals. Tonight we follow two entities. One born in fire, the other in flesh. One stalks the pines, the other wears the devil on his skin.
We begin not in the woods, but in the concrete corners of the American prison system, where true evil doesn't fly, it smiles. His name is Jaime Osuna, and he is no myth, no folklore, just flesh and nightmare stitched together under fluorescent lights. Born in Bakersfield, California in 1988, Jaime Osuna's childhood was a minefield of violence. By the age of 5, he was already living in chaos. He spoke later of abuse, of being beaten and neglected, of learning early that pain wasn't something to run from, it was something to understand. That worldview festered, turning a broken child into something worse. As a teenager, he developed a fascination with serial killers. He idolized them, not just for their brutality, but for the attention. Charles Manson, Richard Ramirez. Osuna didn't just study their crimes, he copied their personas. He wanted to be the next devil in the headlines. In 2011, he made his move. The victim was Yvette Pena, a 37-year-old mother of 6, vulnerable, kind, alone. Osuna lured her into a room at the El Morocco Motel in Bakersfield. What happened next went far beyond murder. Yvette was tortured, savagely and methodically. Her injuries included blunt force trauma to the head, deep lacerations, evidence of restraints, and ritualistic mutilation. Her body was positioned in a way that suggested deliberate staging, a dark performance. When Osuna was arrested, he didn't run. He confessed, and he didn't show remorse. In fact, he relished the attention. At every court appearance, he wore black makeup and carved symbols into his face. He laughed at reporters, taunted Yvette's family, and when a judge asked if he understood the charges, he smiled and said, "I'm the one who did it." He was sentenced to life in prison, but even behind bars, Osuna wasn't finished. In 2019 at Corcoran State Prison, Osuna was mistakenly placed in a cell with 44-year-old Luis Romero, an inmate with no known violent history. Romero had been serving time for second-degree murder, but by all accounts, he wanted peace. That night, he met hell instead. Osuna waited until the lights went down. What followed was 7 hours of methodical, unbroken torture. Osuna decapitated Romero, cut out his eyes, removed a finger, and sliced open his chest. He carved a smile into Romero's face, mimicking his own tattooed grin. He severed the spine and removed internal organs. At one point, he reportedly pinned pieces of Romero's body to the walls of the cell, a grotesque display of domination. All of it was done with a small improvised blade. All of it happened while guards outside did nothing. They didn't check the cell until morning. When they opened the door, Osuna was wearing Romero's body parts as trophies. Blood smeared across his cell, grinning like it was art. Afterward, Osuna told investigators that the killing made him feel complete. He believed he had ascended to his final form. That night, he said, was not murder. It was transformation. He said he had become what he always was, the devil himself. He wasn't just mimicking satanic imagery. He fully embraced it. His face is now tattooed in black and red ink, white skull eyes, blacked out sclera, devil horns, and a wide skeletal grin carved into his cheeks. He calls himself the man with the devil's face and speaks in riddles to reporters, laughing at psychiatric evaluations. Professionals have called him untreatable, exhibiting signs of antisocial personality disorder, extreme sadism, and delusional narcissism. He believes his murders were offerings, his violence an act of devotion to a dark force. In Osuna's mind, he isn't pretending to be a demon. He is one. But this idea that a man can become a monster didn't begin with Osuna. Long before his name-stained courtrooms, another devil roamed the forests of America, not a killer in a cell, but a winged thing in the woods. The Jersey Devil is the oldest cryptid in American folklore, and one of the most terrifying. It wasn't summoned by ritual, it was born by curse. According to legend, in the early 1700s, a woman named Mother Leeds was pregnant with her 13th child. Already impoverished, overworked, and bitter, she reportedly screamed in frustration, "Let this child be the devil." And according to the story, she got her wish. On a stormy night, she gave birth to a baby boy. At first, he appeared normal, but within moments, he began to change. His legs twisted into hooves. Wings burst from his back. His eyes burned red. He let out a scream, a sound somewhere between an infant's cry and a banshee's shriek, and flew up the chimney, vanishing into the night, into the Pine Barrens. The Pine Barrens, nearly 1 million acres of forest and sand in southern New Jersey, is where the devil still flies. Locals say he's part goat, part bat, with a horse-like face and a wingspan stretching 10 to 12 feet. And they've seen him. The first major panic came in 1909. Over the course of one terrifying week, hundreds of people across New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware reported sightings. Newspapers ran headlines. Flying beast terrorizes towns. Factories closed. Schools shut down. Police patrolled with shotguns. Tracks appeared in the snow. Hooved footprints that started in the middle of roads, ran up rooftops, and disappeared over walls. A fire department in West Collingswood claimed they fought it off with hoses. A trolley car operator said it flew at him in the night. And yet, not a single person could kill it. Not a single bullet landed. Since then, sightings have never stopped. In 1951, a group of children in Gibbstown claimed they saw a creature with wings and glowing eyes watching them from the trees. In 1980, a farmer in Hamilton reported finding dozens of mutilated animals, their bodies drained of blood, strange footprints in the mud. He followed the tracks into the forest. He never found the creature, but for weeks afterward, he heard screeches in the night. They sounded like a baby crying, until they didn't. In 1993, Park Ranger John Irwin was driving through the Pine Barrens when he stopped to avoid hitting something in the road. He described it as standing over 6 feet tall, with fur, wings, and hooved feet. It stared at him for a full minute, then walked into the trees, upright and unafraid. Other reports speak of satanic rituals deep in the forest, animal bones arranged in patterns, fires that burn blue, shadows that move just outside of flashlight range. Whether the Jersey Devil is a cryptid, a demon, or a myth kept alive by fear, what matters is that people still see him, and they still believe. What links these two devils, one locked behind bars, the other behind bark, is not just appearance, it's meaning. Jaime Osuna and the Jersey Devil represent something deeper, something older. Both were born of curses, both shaped by fear. Osuna became what people feared most, a man who kills without empathy, without guilt, without pause. The Jersey Devil is what people feared when they were alone in the dark, an unstoppable thing that punishes you for wandering too far. They are symbols of guilt, of darkness, of what we create when we stop believing in the light. And both remind us that monsters don't always need wings. Sometimes they just need time and silence and someone to forget they were ever human.
One was born deep in the Pine Barrens of Jersey, the other in the hands of Lucifer. Until next time, mortals, stay out of the woods, and never trust a man who smiles when he kills.